Today we will talk about where to start a novel or story. Hi, I'm Jess Bagnall, an urban horror author. Buckle in, my friends, this is going to be an in-depth video on where to start your novel. There are many places to start and many different questions to ask before starting your novel. One being, do I need a prologue? Well, do you? To answer that question, you need to know what a prologue is and why you would need to use one. The use of a prologue is to give information about the story that won't necessarily be mentioned. A bit of background may be needed to start the initial novel, and thus a prologue is born. However, it can be used to support the story to come. Some use a prologue as a preview, that is, the author potentially starting in the middle of the story. This brings us to the starting in the middle of the end, if you know what I mean. Initially working backwards from the novel. This can be tricky and is very particular with plotters. You have to know what happened before in order to write backwards. This is where plotters and pantsers can struggle with pacing and the time it takes to write a novel. Then there's the flip side of starting at the beginning. Do you use flashbacks as a start? Bring it forward to the here and now? Which can be very effective. It can be a very effective way to elicit interest in a certain type of story. What about nightmares? Can you start with those? I'd say so. I use them often. Honestly, I have a love for using nightmares. However, the trick is not to overuse nightmares. I have an issue with nightmares myself. But I usually use them as part of an ongoing story, and I've been told not to use them as much because they are cliche and overused, but I said to hell with it. As long as you can write the story in a way that makes sense, what the hell, why not use what you can to your advantage? If you're good at it, use it. Don't necessarily listen to everyone else. It's all to set up for the rest of the story, a build up to the climax. The other things you should think about before starting your stories are the first look into your genre and your characters. What type of genre are you writing? An erotic opening will be different to a thriller opening or a sci-fi fantasy. What time or period are you writing in? You can't start a 1950s story with something from the 21st century and vice versa. Where do you want to go with the story? How will the beginning impact the end? And finally, that first sentence. The dreaded first sentence that will be it will set precedency for your entire book. Will it be a one-liner or a paragraph that will hook the reader? These are all quality questions one must ask themselves before they start a novel or a short story. But don't be discouraged. It's not as daunting as it seems, and remember, you can always change what you write. We have editors for a reason, we have beta readers for a reason. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been most informative. Don't forget to check out my books on Amazon and hit that bell button and subscribe. Stay tuned for more writing advice.